Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Sweet Corn Charlie's question and answer. I went around to all of our great managers at all of our amazing markets and asked all of them to bring me questions from all of you that you guys wanted to know, that the inquiring minds want to know. And so I am sitting here on the farm where all the magic happens to answer as many of those questions as fully as I possibly can. So this is going to be a very in-depth video, and I'm just going to cover as much as I can as long as I can. So here we go. We're going to start off with some questions about our locations and our hours. First question is a question we get a lot. What are the market hours for every market? Now, normally our market hours during the normal flow of the season are 10 to 6 on a normal weekday or 10 to 5 on a Saturday. None of our markets are open Sunday. But our Millersburg market over here at the farm where I am right now is opened at 8 every day. So take all of those start times at 10, make it 8 instead. So if you want some early corn or some early produce, Millersburg is the place to come if you really need to get it early. Say if you're going out of town midday and you want to grab some early corn. So Millersburg's the place to go if you need some earlier corn, but 10 o'clock is our normal start time. How many markets do you have? Right now, as you can sort of see around this room where we all set up every morning, we have a lot of markets. I'm going to go in order of when they set up in the morning. So we have Granger, we have Warsaw. The table I'm sitting at right now is Syracuse. We also have our Dunlap market, my home market, and Middlebury. We also have Goshen and North Webster, which does go on the weekends. They go on Friday and Saturday. We have a North Webster market. And holidays, they were open the 4th this year. So those are all of our markets. So if you find a market that's closer to you than the market that you knew existed, feel free to check that one out. All of our locations for our markets, we have a really handy interactive map on our website at sweetcorncharlie.com. And I'm gonna plug that link. I plug that link at the end of every video, so I'll plug it at the end of this one. What happened to Warsaw South? This really turned into a question of what happened to a lot of our markets. We've had some markets over the years that have been doing great, and then we just remove them from our lineup for one reason or another. This year, Warsaw South is not a market. Shipshewana used to be a market. That currently is not a market. We also used to have a market in Napanee. That also is no longer a market. So if you're looking for a location and you're wondering where did it go, you can ask. Probably one of the managers would know the specific market that you want, but all of the markets that we have right now are our sort of bread and butter markets. So if we add a market or lose a market every year, it's usually just based on how we're feeling that year, how we feel the season's going, what we feel we can provide for the community. So it's really just based on a number of factors. So those are the reasons. Next question is, how late in the season are you guys open? Now, I always say it's sort of a sticky subject because it depends on the market. Obviously, Millersburg is going to be open the latest because you don't have to move anything to Millersburg and we don't have to pay rent at our own farm. But we do have some markets that stay open later than others. For example, Middlebury and Goshen almost always open early and close late. But for most of us markets, I would say I promise Labor Day, and then I can't promise anything past that. It really just depends on how the corn season grows, and we can't control the weather. So you need to ask your marketer closer to Labor Day, but I can always promise that we are going to be open for the weekend before Labor Day every year, every single market, okay? Are you open on the 4th and Labor Day? We are open the weekend before Labor Day. I do not believe that we are open on Labor Day this year, but we are open the 4th. We are open the 4th every year. We pride ourselves on being open the 4th so that we can provide you with what you need for your cookouts. So come on out. We're open the 4th, so come on out. But we are open the weekend before Labor Day. So now we're moving on to some questions about the farm processes. How does the sausage get made? The magic happens here in this room. This is where we all gather in the morning to bring together the best of our produce and then send it out to every single market. So how large is this farm? This farm is sort of split up into different fields, sort of dotted around the Millersburg area. It is 150 acres, give or take. How big is the greenhouse? First off, we don't use the word greenhouse because it's not a greenhouse in the traditional sense. You'll see later on in the video. We call it a covered tunnel. It's really just to make sure that the snow and rain and really unpredictable Indiana weather doesn't make it so that we can't have tomatoes or corn for you guys. So our covered tunnels are about 32 by 100, give or take, every single one. We have multiple, and we use them for multiple purposes, from peppers to tomatoes. A lot of things that do not deal well with Indiana May weather, when it could be 75 one day and 32 the next. That's what we use the covered tunnels for. Where is the farm located? Like I said, the farm is located in Millersburg, Indiana. A lot of people have trouble knowing where that is. I understand Millersburg is a smaller community, but if you want to find Millersburg, just go south from Goshen. It is at the very tip edge of Elkhart County. So come on out and come to Millersburg if you want to see where the magic happens here at the farm. What do we all grow ourselves? A lot of the stuff we have here, in fact, most of the stuff we have here, we grow ourselves. It's our own homegrown. We call it that because it is that. We have a sticker that we put on almost all of the name tags that we have for things that we grow our own. So if you want to find out which things at our market we grow by ourselves and which we have to get from somewhere else, like certain things we can't grow, like we don't have room to grow strawberries. We don't have room to grow peaches. We just don't have room for an orchard here. But the things that we do grow, we put a yellow sticker. It just says our own homegrown, and you can check that at every single market. They should have that on every single label, so you can check and make sure that it's homegrown. Or you can just ask your marketer, and they will let you know whether or not it's homegrown, because sometimes we have our own for a little bit, and then Indiana weather forces us to ask for someone else's. But we try to be as local as possible and as long as possible. So check on the sticker, the our own homegrown sticker, and ask your local marketer what is local this week. So the next question is, can you order quantities of things? And the answer is yes. We have order sheets at every single market. Just ask your marketer, hey, can I order something? If you want to order, say, a bushel of corn, or a half bushel or a full bushel of canner tomatoes for salsa, you can order that. All you have to do is ask your marketer, and they will write things down for you on your little order sheet, and you can get your order picked up at any time that we're open, morning, noon, and night, at any market that we're open. So even if you order from, say, the Dunlap market, but you live closer to the Granger market, you can order at the Dunlap market and get things delivered to the Granger market. And we will deliver it the day that you want, the time that you want, and the amount that you want. So just ask your marketer, and they can fill out an order form for you. How do you contact the farm? The farm can be reached by phone at the number, and I'm going to put this below, 574-642-3466. So feel free to call the farm if you have any questions that I don't answer in this video. Can you mail things to me? This is a question that we get a lot about, especially corn. Our corn has traveled to all 50 states. We've had people ship it to Massachusetts, Texas. We've even had them ship it out to Hawaii and Alaska and take it with them on vacation. It's an amazing product, and it does ship pretty well. But because there's a lot of work that has to go into shipping corn, like some people have to put it into a foam cooler and put some dry ice around it to make sure that it gets there intact, we personally do not ship, but we do tell all of our customers that corn does ship well, that all of our items do ship well, if you would like to ship it that way. If you want to ask about a specific item and how is best to ship it, we are more than happy to provide that information. You can just ask any marketer, or you can call the farm. But yeah, we do not ship things, but we guarantee that a lot of our customers do ship corn, and corn does ship very well all across these 50 states. And we've even had it ship internationally, so we know that works well too. Is the produce organic? Do you use pesticides? This is a question I get a lot these days, especially. Is our produce organic? No, not by the government standard, but we use a lot of organic processes. We use as many organic processes as we can, but we also have to use some conventional farming methods to make sure that we can get you the best product at certain times of the year. Indiana weather's bad. Sometimes Indiana weather causes us to deal with heat waves or massive rain or snow in like June for some reason, because it's Indiana. So we have to do a little bit more work to make sure that we have all that you need at whatever time that you need it. So we try and balance it out and make sure that we're using the best of each world. So we are not fully organic, but we try our very best to be as close to it as possible. We are non-GMO, and we do not spray our plants with Roundup and harsh pesticides. We use as many natural pesticides as we possibly can. We do not use harsh, overly chemical pesticides. But we are not GMO either, and a lot of corn that you're going to find out there is going to be GMO simply because of the strain that growing corn places on farmers. They just choose to go GMO because for them that is a little bit simpler. But for us, we try our very best to remain as organic as possible and completely non-GMO. Why don't we have every kind of produce every day? I get this a lot from people that are like coming in at say noon, and they're like, why don't you guys have green beans? Unlike a supermarket, we can't just ask for another shipment of beets or another shipment of corn or another shipment of green beans. When our farm is out, we're out. That means that nothing that we have has grown up enough for us to bring it out to you guys. We're not going to bring out unripe tomatoes. We're not going to bring out little spuds of green beans rather than full green beans. So that is why we don't. It's because we have to go along with a growing season, unlike a supermarket, which can go along with the growing season of any state and any country in the world that they can get their produce from. They do, so that they can fill in things at whatever time they want. So we have to go with the seasons of the earth to keep things as local as possible, as long as possible. Do we accept cash and card? Yes. And now we are moving on to peaches. Now, the question I'm getting the most, when are Red Haven peaches coming in? The answer is almost always for me, I don't know. Red Haven peaches are sought after by almost everybody. Every supplier near here wants them. Every person near here wants them. And since they're from Michigan, we can't grow them here. So it really is up to the supply that Michigan has that we can bring down here. So I can't tell you when they're going to happen, and I can't tell you how long that season's going to last. But usually it's for a very short period of time, and we can't really tell you ahead of time. So if you want Red Haven peaches, I would suggest calling the farm or coming into the market maybe once a week and asking, hey, how are Red Haven peaches coming along? When are you guys going to have Red Havens? Asking that question over and over and over again is one of those questions that the answer will change by the week, simply because Red Havens are so sought after. Where do you get our peaches from? At the beginning of the season, we got our peaches from Georgia, the peach state, obviously. Then we move a little bit north to South Carolina, where my friend Jim got all his peaches. He was great, always would bring me some peaches from South Carolina. And then we moved to a little mid-season in Pennsylvania, a little bit. Pennsylvania peaches are sort of our in between the South and the North. And then finally, Michigan peaches. Now, Michigan peaches are amazing, and they're as local as we can get them. But at times, Michigan is like Indiana. They have a lot of freezes. And so Michigan's season is affected, much like our season. It's affected by snow and hail and rain. So at times, Michigan's peach season can be equally unpredictable. It can be unpredictable year to year. But we try our best to get Michigan peaches for as long as possible. Right now, as I'm making this video in early August, very early August, it is Michigan peach season. We have Michigan peaches, and we probably will for the next probably about a month to a month and a half. So feel free to check out Michigan peaches when we have them, but that's the arc that we have to get our peaches. Are our peaches freestone or cling? As I said, they come from multiple places, so they are multiple varieties of peaches. I know that a lot of the varieties we get later on in the season are more likely to be freestone. For instance, Red Havens. That's why people like Red Havens so much. One of the reasons is because it's freestone. It's easy to get that stone out. I know that in the earlier part of the season, we are a lot more cling with our peaches. So if you want to check, it's good to check with the marketer based on what they're seeing that day, simply because the variety can change from day to day. And whether it's cling or not can change from day to day. So now we're going to move on to melons. The question I get a lot, and what I end up doing a lot, is how do you get a good melon? So for each melon, for a cantaloupe, our good juicy cantaloupes, the answer is smell the tip where the stem comes out from. You smell it, and if it smells sweet like a cantaloupe, that means that it's more ripe. If it smells a little grassy, a little bit like the rind of a cantaloupe is going to taste, it's a little bit less ripe. So if you're looking for one that is going to be, say, good tomorrow rather than good today, look for a less ripe If you're looking for something good today, vice versa, look for more ripe. Our Arava melon from Israel is similar. You can do the smell test on this one as well. And if it smells super sweet, like almost sickly sweet, it's amazingly sweet, it's ready to go. Arava are much softer on the inside, so they will ripen up a lot faster than cantaloupe will. Now with watermelon, there's a lot of ways. Some people thump it, some people just sort of look at it, some people bounce it to see if it bounces right. I go with the yellow spot. The yellow spot's never done me wrong. For example, this one has a pretty good size yellow spot, but yellow basically just means it's going to have yellow on one side. It basically just means it sat in one place and built up a lot of sugar content because it sat in one place, and so it's going to be super sweet. So that's how you find a good watermelon. What does an Arava taste like? And what is an Arava? An Arava is an Israeli melon. We get the seeds from Israel, we grow them here. It's green on the inside, sort of like a honeydew. It's like a mix between a honeydew and a cantaloupe taste-wise. So come on out and try one. That's where an Arava is. Do we have seedless watermelon? No. All of our watermelon are, or do we have seeded watermelon? No. All of our watermelon are seedless. All of our watermelon are seedless. Are our melons homegrown? Again, it depends on the time of the season. Earlier on in the season, we have to get them from the south because you can't grow a watermelon in February in Indiana. That just doesn't work. But at this point in the season, probably about July 4th, we start seeing our own melons. So at this point in the season in August, they are peak. So come on out and grab some local melons when it's August, because there are melons. Yes, they are homegrown. How long can you keep a melon before you eat it? Again, it really just depends on ripeness. For a cantaloupe, I usually say even if you're getting a really unripe one, you want to leave it out. It will probably only last about 3 to 4 days if you're going to keep it out. If you keep it in the fridge, it might last 5 to 6. Arava, about the same thing. Watermelon, I would say at most 7 days. Fridge or not fridge, 7 days on a watermelon. And now, to talk a little bit about tomatoes, I took you out to where the magic happens. Right over here, we have our covered tomatoes. Now, we do grow tomatoes out of cover, of course, but again, Indiana weather. If we're growing tomatoes in, say, March, there's no way that they're going to survive Indiana weather. So we got to cover them up a little bit. So the question I get a lot is, are our tomatoes hothouse? No. Hothouse tomatoes are where you chop them off when they're unripe, and then you gas them to make them red, to make them look red, to make them ripe. No, our tomatoes are ripened on the vine. We don't chop them until they're completely ripe. They will be a little bit firmer than the tomatoes that you're going to find at the store, but they are ripe. They are beautiful. My mom swears by them. They're the only tomatoes that she likes anymore. So come on out and get yourself some of those. What is the difference between heirloom and a red? I get that question a little bit. Now this right here is an heirloom tomato. As you can see, it's a little bit like a little weirder looking, little lumpy. An heirloom tomato is usually about sweeter. People say it's sweeter than a red tomato or a yellow tomato. This is our normal red Sammys. We don't usually leave the stem in with the Sammys. It's just the way they come off the vine. The heirlooms almost always keep the stem. But the real difference is sweetness, tenderness. They're super tender. They're way softer. And a lot of people go, is that why they're more expensive? And the answer is almost always yes. They are far harder to grow than our Sammys. Our Sammys are hardy, and they can deal with almost anything because they're amazing tomatoes. And our heirlooms are amazing too, but they are pickier. They are softer, and they do damage quite easily. We can't stack them as high in little boxes. We have to put them in their own flat one-layer box to move them to market. So they are a little bit more expensive simply because they are way more tender. So if you want an heirloom tomato, that's why there's a difference. How do you get your tomatoes in so early? Sort of like I mentioned, we have the covers, and they are not greenhouses. As you can see, they are not standing like glass structures. It's just plastic over a metal frame, really. We have in each of these a wood-fired stove that we use to heat these and make sure that the tomato plants don't freeze in Indiana March. So that is how we get them so early. We start early, and we baby these tomatoes until they're ready and make sure that they're ready early. So that's how we get them as early as we do. We try extra hard to fight the weather and make it so that we can have them as early as possible. Where does the name Sammy's come from? Sammy is the son of Chuck and Tammy Moeller, Sweet Corn Charlie, that's his son. And he loved the tomatoes so much, he would eat all of the tomatoes completely, just like he'd take a tomato and eat it like an apple. He loved the tomatoes, and so they named the tomatoes after him. Chuck and Tammy's other son, Dan, loved the onions in the same way, so they named the onions after him. Our own sweet onions are named Dan's sweet onions. So Sammy's tomatoes, Dan's onions. And now we move on to the prize possession, the corn. The question I get so often early in the season is, how do you get corn so early? We get corn probably about maybe 3 or 4 weeks earlier than anyone else local, simply because we have to go through a 9-step process in order to make this corn come out for you guys. Our corn is, first we plant it in some of these covered tunnels, because we plant it in February or March and it's freezing out here. So we plant it in one of these covered tunnels in individual planters, individual styrofoam planters, and then we let it mature up a little bit in there. And then when it's a little bit more mature, we take it out of those planters individually, put it into a little planting machine, and go out into the fields, plant each plant individually. The plant has to take each plant from the planter and plop them into the planter individually. And then we take wires, cover them all with wires, miles and miles of wire that we have to use for this. And then we cover those wires with plastic. And then we blow hot air. Occasionally we blow hot air under there, like what we do with here with the wood fire stoves with the tomatoes. We blow hot air under there to make sure that the plants don't freeze. And then when it's a little bit more warm, we take the cover off and we let the plants grow more normally. It takes a lot of work, a lot of man hours to make sure that we can have corn that early. So that 9-step process is very intensive, but Chuck swears by it, and it works every single year to bring you guys sweet corn as early as possible. How often do we pick corn? Our corn is picked daily. Our guys are out there picking corn every morning for you guys, and we bring it to the market fresh. How much corn is in a dozen and a half dozen, and what's the difference? There is no real difference. Some people think since the bag looks different, it's different corn. It's not. Half dozen has 6, dozen has 12. There's absolutely no difference in the quality of corn. It comes from the same bin, picked at the same time. There's absolutely no difference, other than you get a slightly better deal if you get the dozen than the half dozen. A dozen is usually cheaper than buying 2 half dozens. How much corn is in a bushel? A bushel is 5 dozen, so 60 ears of corn. How do you get your corn so sweet? We'll never tell. Where should I keep my corn? Corn should be kept. A lot of people ask me, is it okay if I keep the corn in the car and it's a really hot day? I usually tell them no, simply because corn can be picky, but it can also be hardy if you treat it right. I usually say there are three ins that I say. In order to keep it as long as possible, you can keep it up to 7 days if you keep it in the bag, in the husk, and in the fridge. If you do all 3 of those, your corn should be great even 7 days after you've bought it. So in the bag, in the husk, in the fridge, it'll be good to go. It'll be fine. Why is the corn different sizes at different times? Earlier on in the season, and sometimes a little bit during the season, our corn can be a little bit different. It can be thinner, thicker, taller, longer. It is just based on the fact that it's a living organism, and we don't control, it's non-GMO. We don't control very closely how big it grows or how tall it grows. Of course, we hope that it grows to be a mile long and a mile thick ear of corn, but sometimes Indiana weather does not allow us to do that. For instance, sweet corn, in order to be sweet corn, in order to have the sugar and be sweet, needs a lot of sun, but not too much sun. If it has too much heat, it obviously wilts the plants. It needs a little bit, it needs rain, it needs water, but not too much water, because if you flood the sweet corn and you don't give it any sun, it's not going to be sweet, and it's going to have a harder time growing to its full size. So it really is just dependent on the weather on how our sweet corn looks and how it is week to week. So since our season is so long, it is affected by like tens of hundreds of storms and tens of hundreds of days of sun and rain and all that every year. So we have to just deal with what the weather gives us, and we pray that it is sunny but not too sunny, and a little bit rainy but not too rainy every year. What color corn do you guys have? Our corn is bicolor. Our corn is not fully yellow or fully white. It is bicolor corn. How long is the corn season and when does it start? Usually our corn season, I say safely, you can safely bet it's always going to start at least a week before the 4th of July. Sometimes it starts a little earlier. Sometimes it'll start a day or two later than a week before. But we always have corn for the 4th. That is always our rule. So we will have corn from that time until I usually say we can safely hope to have corn into late September. Again, it really just depends on the weather and how the growing season's going. So it can be September, it can be October. Some years we've had it go all the way into October. It really is just dependent on the weather and how the corn is doing. So that's the growing season average. It really is the whole summer and then a little bit of fall. And now to cover some of the last things, some miscellaneous things, and especially some questions about our jam barns. I'm here in the Millersburg jam barn. It's really a jam room, but jam barn. So questions about jams. Do we have samples of our jams and seasonings? Unfortunately, no. We are not allowed to do jam samples and seasonings. It's just for health and safety reasons. But I can guarantee that a lot of your marketers that you're going to see out there have tried most of what's in the jam barn. So if you have a question about how something tastes or about how something's going to work in a dish, feel free to ask them. I can say personally that I've tried, I think at this point I've tried everything in the jam barn so far, unless they've added something since this video went up. But I think I've tried everything in the jam barn so far, and I can vouch for the tastiness and the usefulness of every item in the jam barn. So really just ask your marketer, and they will be able to tell you, but we can't do samples of jams and seasonings. So what is the difference between all the seasonings? Our Weaver's Farm Dust is amazing, and we have a lot of varieties of it. We have a lot of different varieties of it. I'll start with the name itself, Farm Dust. Farm Dust is sort of a salt and pepper replacement. So if you usually use salt and pepper in a dish or on a meal, like chicken or something like that, Farm Dust is the way to go. It just simplifies it up, and adds a little bit of kick to it because it's got a little bit of extra stuff in it. Our Thresher's Dust seasoning. Thresher's Dust, I always say, is best on corn. Thresher's Dust is best on corn. So if you want to put this on your corn, it makes your corn nice and salty. You can put it on with butter. It's amazing. So grab yourself some Thresher's Dust for your corn. Silage Dust, also very good on corn, but I also call it a garlic salt replacement because it's got a lot of garlic, parsley, cayenne pepper, olive oil added for consistency. So it molds together nicely like garlic salt and like garlic pepper do. So put this into your dishes that require garlic because this is the garlic. And then our Barnyard Grilling Dust, like the name implies, it's a grilling dust. You can put this on your burgers or your steaks or anything that you're putting on the grill before you put it on the grill, before you cook it. And just cook it with this on, and it's got a nice smoky flavor, adds a little bit of salt to it, a little bit of twang. So Barnyard Grilling Dust. And last, certainly not least, we have the no salt farm dust. It's just the farm dust with no salt. So if you're watching your sodium intake, this can be a great way to go. So those are all of our Weaver's Farm Dust seasonings. So the honey that we have, our local honey, is it raw, and is it local, and is it unfiltered? The answer is yes to all of that. Our honey comes from bees that Chuck grows himself. He's got his own beehives, and we dot them all across the farm. They're sort of like traveling beehives. We dot them all across the farm, so that they can pollinate our different plants. Like our melons, the day that I started this year, the day that we get everything ready to go for the year, we have the bees out by the melons, and they're pollinating all the melons. So all of the melons that you have from us were pollinated by the bees that made our honey. So it really is a sort of win-win for us and the bees. Our honey is, again, raw and unfiltered. It is unpasteurized honey, which basically just means it's got a lot of allergen-blocking power in it. If you're from this area, local honey is the best way to deal with your allergens and get some sweetness along with it. So I would totally recommend any of our local honey. We've got it in a lot of different sizes. So come on out and get some of our local honey if you want to take care of your allergies in a sweet way. And so to finish things off, I've got a bunch of questions that did not quite fit into any of the categories that I had. So I just wanted to make sure that I answered all of them. First question is, what are garlic scapes and what are they used for? Garlic scapes are sort of the ends of a garlic bulb. I would call them almost a garlic green onion in terms of use. You can chop them up sort of like chives. I like to chop them up and put them in mashed potatoes to give mashed potatoes a little bit of garlicky taste. It's really good. It's really good. What is kohlrabi and what do you use it for? Kohlrabi is that green plant that is sort of spiky. Our kohlrabi is great. People use it in a lot of soups, a lot of stews. Some people just chop it up and eat it with a little bit of salt on top. I would call it sort of a mix between sort of cabbage and a radish in consistency. So come on out and try a kohlrabi. It's really good. Why does our lettuce grow so big? We don't know, but we're glad it does. Our lettuce is well known for being absolutely huge. So you want to get a head of lettuce that's like twice the size of what you're going to need for 20 sandwiches? Get a head of lettuce from Soup and Travels. We got big heads of lettuce. How are green and yellow beans different? This year we had green and yellow green beans. The yellow green beans are called wax green beans. And the difference is sort of in a little bit of taste. Green beans, I think we all can vouch for what green beans taste like. But our wax green beans, they have a sort of firmer outer shell, which makes them a little bit more snappy and a little bit crunchier. But they also have sort of a subtler sweetness to them. It's really hard to describe, actually, but I've had quite a few of them, and they are good, just like our normal green beans. So that's the difference between yellow and green beans. So peppers, what are colossal peppers? Colossal peppers are, I would say they are a mild pepper. They are not hot at all. They are a mild pepper that are very good in a chopped salad if you want to get some really small pepper rings to put in your chopped salad just for looks and appeal and taste. Colossal peppers are great for that. Banana peppers. A lot of people ask about banana peppers. What are they? And they ask, are they hot? Because the way that they look like a hot pepper. They look fiery and red, but they are sweet. They're probably one of the sweetest peppers that we sell. So if you want to put some sweetness in your dish and you need some peppers to do it, banana peppers are the way to go. And are the peppers spicy is a question I get a lot. The only peppers we sell that are currently spicy are our jalapenos. Our jalapenos are local. They are our own jalapenos, but they got a real nice heat to them. And I like to put them on my burger. I like to mix them up when I make some salsa. So our jalapenos are absolutely amazing. They are also a good size for pickling. They're nice and small, great to fit into a pickle jar. So feel free to come out and grab some of our jalapenos if you want some heat. But every other pepper that we sell, including the banana and colossal and green and red and yellow peppers, are not spicy. So you can use it in a salad without knowing that your mouth's going to be on fire. And where are our blueberries from? Again, blueberries are one of those things that we have to sometimes get from different states, but for most of the season, our blueberries will be coming from Michigan. We pride ourselves on having Michigan blueberries, so if you come on out, most likely we are going to have Michigan blueberries. So grab yourself some Michigan blueberries. Do you sell cabbage? Yes, normally we do sell some cabbage. I believe we're going to have some later this year if you're watching this video this year. So yeah, just ask about cabbage and we will probably have some later this year. I also get a lot of questions about other fruits. The do you sell question comes up a lot. Do you sell bananas? Do you sell pineapple? Do you sell carrots? I can tell you that as of this video being made, we do not sell carrots, and we probably will never sell bananas, citrus, pineapple, any of that stuff. Anything that you think of as a tropical fruit or a Florida fruit, simply because it's too far away for us to consider it local. And again, we try to keep it as local as possible. When we go down to Georgia to get our peaches, it's because we're filling in until Michigan peaches get here. Usually when we go to a different state, it's because our local variety is not ready yet. But there is no local Indiana variety of bananas as far as I'm aware. So we do sell local. So unfortunately, a lot of the fruits that you're going to see in the supermarket, we can't sell because there's no local orange groves, there's no local banana trees, there's no local coconuts. So a lot of the more exotic fruits we don't sell because they're not local, and we try and be as local as possible to support both our own farm and the local area. So the Michigan area, we try and do that and support them as much as possible, because that's our goal. So that is all of the questions that I had from you guys. These were great questions. Thank you for giving all of these questions to my marketers, and please do keep asking questions of the marketers. That's why we're here. We love to answer questions for you, and we love to learn more about the farm as you are learning more about the farm. So feel free to ask us as many questions as you want, and we will provide as many answers as we can. We love serving you in the community and serving you a produce that you can't find anywhere else. So we are glad to have all these questions, and we are glad to have you all as customers. So thank you for the questions. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be leaving this video up past the year that I make it. So some of the questions may change, some of the answers may change, but this video was made to be as timeless as possible from season to season. So if you are coming from a different year and you are unsure on whether my answer is right or not for that year, feel free to check with the farm. Feel free to call the number I've put in the description. Feel free to check our website. A lot of those answers may change, but this video is meant to cover as much as possible for right now. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.